Hey there and welcome to the channel. This is Mel's Gaming, here with another Red Dead Redemption 2 online video, but this time I'm talking about legendary animals. And you may have seen some of my previous videos on legendary animals on this channel. Well, this is on my PC account as opposed to my Xbox account, and I just thought that seeing as channel's got a little bit bigger since I did the original videos, that I'd make another video talking about how to find legendary animals and why it's a lot easier than you might think to find these animals. Now, everyone seems to think that legendary animals are exceedingly difficult to find. They're, in my experience, not that hard to find. On my Xbox account I have found all of them more than twice because I have the completed legendary animal guide, and on my PC account I have already encountered several just by doing other things and many more by just specifically hunting for them. Now, one of the first legendary animals I'm going to talk about is the moon beaver that can be found near Elysian Pool. Now, the moon beaver can be a bit of a tricky one because he will sometimes spawn in the water. Now, if it does that, all you need to do is get on horseback and shoot it in the water, and whether you sedate it or you kill it, you can lasso it out of the water, though I was having a bit of trouble here, as you can see, but you can lasso it out of the water, and then all you need to do is drag it to the shore to either sample it or skin it. Now, another tip that I'm going to provide here is that legendary animals that have been sampled cannot be skinned. So once you have sedated your legendary animal, if you desperately want the pelt, you can still kill it and get the pelt, or you can take a sample, and if it's a small enough legendary animal that you can pick up, so the beavers, the deer, the wolves, etc., then you can kill it and still give it to your trader, Crips, and it will still give you a huge amount of supplies, so you're not wasting the carcass. As you will see here, what I'm going to do is take a sample from this beaver, because I'd like it for Harriet, but as I'm still levelling up my naturalist on this account, and then I am going to shoot it till it is dead, and then I'm going to take it to Crips. See, it says you have killed the legendary moon beaver, but this animal has already been sampled and cannot be skinned. If you want the skin, then you cannot sample it as well. You cannot do both. You will want the skin if you want any of the clothing items, any of the garment sets from Gus. Because if you are trying to get the garment sets, you must give Gus only the skin. He will not make the garment if you give him an entire legendary animal, whether it has been sampled or not. I made that mistake on my Xbox account, thinking that giving him the whole carcass would be better than just giving him the skin, but no, just the skin for the garments. But here you go, you can see the sampled legendary moon beaver, give it to Crips, and it still gives a fairly good amount of supplies. So it's definitely worth doing. If you come across a legendary animal that you want to sample it and then give it to your Crips, just for a little bit of a boost on supplies. It's definitely worth doing. Now, legendary animals, despite what a lot of people will tell you, do not require specific times of day or weather in order to spawn. In fact, I have found most of my legendary animals, and at this point I have killed and sedated and sampled a lot of legendary animals, as I have hunted them not only for myself but for other players. And 99.9% of the time they are not in the conditions stated in the guides or the field guide in the game. All you need to do is go to the location where the animal is meant to spawn. So for example, this legendary snowbuck, all you need to do is go into tall trees, wait around, and if it doesn't spawn after, say, 3 minutes of riding around, all you need to do is go to the online options section of your menu, where you will see the map, progress, benefits part. You click on online, you click on free roam, and you respawn into another session that will spawn you back into the same area. This is called session hopping. This is the method I use for legendary animals, and it works a treat. It has got me every single one more than once, and it works. It definitely works. Everyone I've recommended it to has had it work. Sometimes it takes a few tries, and that is okay. That's completely normal. If you know that you're meant to have a spawn, which I'll explain now, then just it's patience and persistence and just keep going and you will eventually get it. Most of the time it only takes me a couple of session hops or even one session hop and I'll get the animal I'm after. When I say that you're meant to have a spawn, let me explain. There is 3 individual animals for every species of legendary animal. So for example, for the bucks, there is the snow buck, the mudrunner buck, which are both free roam legendaries, so you can find them in the world just as you're doing things in their set location spawns, like I have here with the snowbuck. And then there is the shadow buck, which is the Harriet specific animal. These 3 are linked. If you go to Harriet and you do the shadow buck mission, you will not be set to have a spawn for either the mudrunner buck or the snowbuck for 3 real life days. Roughly. Now, there are exceptions to this. So say you shoot the snowbuck like I have here, and then another player comes into that area that also has a spawn for the snowbuck, you could theoretically get a second snowbuck. I have used this method with a posse in order to get more legendary animal spawns for people that have been desperately wanting them. So what I would do is I would be in a posse, make sure that at least one of the posse members has that spawn. Then what I would do is I would go and kill the animal either for them or for another person while they would leave the area so that it doesn't affect their spawn. Because as long as you don't interact with the animal, it doesn't affect your spawn. You'll know you've interacted with the animal when you see the golden paw print on your map. If you interact with it, then it will cause you to have that 3-day cooldown. So if you're in a posse and you're trying to hunt, make sure that you keep one person away and then you can get multiple spawns. It's a really easy method, it works, it's not a glitch, it's not a hack, it's put there so that people that miss seeing the question mark can get the animal again. That's all it is. So it works. If you want to do that, it's perfectly, it works perfectly well. I've done it multiple times with multiple species. So that's, as I say, each animal that is 2 free roams of the same species and 1 Harriet mission of the same species. The Harriet mission animal will affect the 2 free roam ones. The free roam ones will affect each other, but it won't affect. So say I kill this night moose, I can still get the mission for the ruddy moose from Harriet. Her missions will still be randomised, but it will stop me getting the snowflake moose, if that makes sense. So you can still get your missions from Harriet, but the Harriet mission animals, if you do the mission and get the animal, will affect your spawn for the 2 free roams. But if you do the free roam and kill one of the free roams, it will affect your free roam spawn, but it won't affect the fact that Harriet will still have that mission as a randomised option in her missions. Now, this is another thing that people get confused. Harriet mission animals, so for example, the ruddy moose, the sapper cougar, so many now because we've had so many added, the banded gator, the moonstone wolf, any of those cannot be found in free roam. You will never find them running around as you're doing things. They will never spawn. That's how they are. And you will never see Harriet give you a mission, for example, for the night moose or the ghost panther, because they're not her mission animals. And that's something that people tend to get confused, so I hope that makes sense. Now, another thing I'm going to talk about here is, so this is the moon beaver spawn again here by Elysian Pool. This time it's not in the river or the lake part of this area. And this is 3 days after I got the one that I showed at the start. I waited here just to basically watch it for a little bit, and I was checking with some posse members that I had in my Discord with me to see if any of them needed the moon beaver for either the pelt or for a sample. Now, you will find that sometimes with these legendary animals, they will have what I refer to as bodyguards. The moon beaver will have them quite often. The gators tend to have them and be a pain. The legendary wolves almost always have them. I don't think I've ever had them without them. It can be a pain. And normally what I would recommend is that you take out any bodyguard animals before you take out the legendary. The only reason I didn't there is because it's beavers and they don't really matter that much, especially when I'd already killed the legendary. The bodyguards normally tend to flee. The only time that I would say that they probably won't do that is with the wolves and the gators. Now here you can see I have just loaded into a session after session hopping, and immediately, just after walking maybe 2 or 3 meters, I have a spawn for the marble fox. I wanted the marble fox on this account because it's one of my favourite legendary animals, and so all I did was come to Coulter, I saw that it hadn't spawned, went into the section I talked about before where you have your maps, benefits, and then the online section, did a free roam respawn, it spawned me back here at Coulter, which is what you want, and it spawned after 1 session hop. Just because you don't get a spawn in 1 session doesn't mean you won't in another. And this can also be affected by if there's other players in the area that also have the spawn. Like I said, if you say I'd already got this marble fox, but I know that there's someone in the area that has a spawn for a legendary fox and they haven't killed one, then I could theoretically get it twice. I've seen this happen multiple times. It's interesting when it happens, but it can confuse people into thinking that there isn't a cooldown. If you're on your own, and you're completely on your own, you will notice there is a cooldown. And it's definitely a thing. I have tested it so many times at this point. But like I said, if you want a legendary animal, specific legendary animal, just go to that area, session hop for it, and go all times of day, night, weather, just anything. It doesn't matter if it's raining and it says it needs to be sunny, or it's sunny and it needs to be raining. I have had the Tekka during the day, I've had the Sun Gator at night, which is, opposite. I've had the Tekka in the Sun Gator spawn, because sometimes it seems the legendary animals do a thing where they spawn swap. So certain legendary animals of the same species will accidentally swap spawn. So the Sun Gator might end up in the Tekka spawn, the Tekka might end up in the Sun Gator spawn, etc. I'm not sure how common that is now, but that was quite a common thing for a while. People were getting the Winayan bison, or the white legendary bison from up near Coulter, in the heartlands where the Tatanka bison should be, which was quite a sight. I can assure you that was a very interesting to see those pictures. But there you saw how I did a session hop, and I was session hopping specifically for the Awiza bear, and I got it after just a few session hops, and I was really, really happy. But you don't have to be in a session for more than a few seconds in order to get a legendary animal. Legendary animals are effectively the same as any other random spawn for hideouts or moonshine operations. They're just the naturalist version. So all you need to do is know where they spawn and pretty much just go there and hop for them. You could do the same if you wanted to get any other sort of spawn for any other role. This with the Owiza bet, I was so scared it was going to go down that waterfall, but you can lasso any legendary animal out of the water, whether it is sedated or it is dead. So that is a really important thing to note, because a lot of people don't realise this, because you wouldn't expect to be able to lasso a bear, but you can. Any legendary animal can be lassoed at any point when it is dead or sedated, to make it easier to move and position. I've done it sometimes just to get pictures with sedated animals, just for naturalist things, but that's just something to bear in mind so that you don't lose any of your legendary animals through water. Now you'll notice there that the animal field guide has been updated because I have killed that bear now. But to complete the guide, you must sedate, sample, skin, photograph, and track every single animal. I've done this on my Xbox account. It took a while, but it's quite fun and quite challenging to do. Don't get anything for it, but I do enjoy it. But here you can see I'm selling just the pelt and the claw. Most legendary animals will give you a little trinket as well as the pelt. which you can sell. Panthers give you eyeballs, bucks give you antlers, etc. But this is who you need to take it to. It's Gus the Trapper, and you can take things to him even without having the naturalist role from Harriet herself. All you need to do is go to Strawberry to the, I think they call it the Welcome Centre, and do the interaction where you meet Gus and Harriet. Like I said, you don't have to buy the role, but that will unlock Gus the Trapper for you. And you can find legendary animals in free roam without having the naturalist role. Now, whether this is because of other people near you having the role or not, I haven't exactly been able to find out, because it is very hard without using glitches to get into very quiet sessions, or, you know, non-populated sessions. But there you go, see, this legendary coyote had a bodyguard. Normally it has more than that, and as soon as I'd killed the legendary, he began to flee. Now, this particular player, me and my posse noticed, were trying desperately to get this legendary red streak coyote, but they were having some trouble with the bodyguards. As you can see, they've skinned a couple here. So I decided that I would kill it for them, as they seem to be quite a low-level player, and give it to them as a gift. I have no problems doing this. I tend to be this kind of player that I will give people things. I've done it with randoms, giving them legendary animals before, and it's always nice to do. But yeah, so these are my main tips for the legendary animals. The weapons you want to be using on legendary animals, I recommend the bolt action and the shotgun. I don't recommend the elephant rifle purely because of how slow and just it's a powerful gun. However, if you're dealing with bodyguards, for example, Tekka Gator and its many Gator bodyguards, with the bolt action you can just pop them all in the head one shot very quickly. However, if you're trying to do that with the elephant rifle, you're going to be slowed down a little bit. So I do recommend using the bolt action and the shotgun. Now, you cannot ruin a legendary animal pelt by shooting it with the incorrect weapon. It's not like normal animals where if you shoot, say, a bear with a shotgun twice, that you will ruin the pelt. You can shoot a legendary animal as many times with whatever weapon, and it will not ruin the pelt. Legendary animals will not go down in one shot, and, well, I've never had them go down in one shot, even with the shotgun, with slugs, or with pellets, or the bolt action. But you can ruin the pelt by using explosive or fire rounds. I have seen people use dynamite on the legendary gators and even recommend doing this. Do not do this. It will ruin the pelt and you cannot skin that animal. So you have just ruined a legendary animal and stopped yourself getting a spawn for 3 days for no reason, basically. The only reason I would ever use an incendiary or explosive round on a legendary animal would be if you're getting griefed and they're deciding that they're going to try and take that legendary animal from you, and you know you're not going to get it, ruin it, and then they can't get it either, so it stops them from getting anything from griefing you. That is something I've seen people recommend doing, and it's something I would do if I was getting griefed. I've had someone try once to grief me whilst killing a snowbuck that I found the spawn fair and square. They decided to grief me. I still managed to get the snowbuck because they killed it, so I then shot them and took the snowbuck. People will try and fight you very often for these legendary animals. The only thing I can recommend is put up your best fight if you can, and try to not let the griefers get you down. But yeah, if you get a legendary animal, no matter what it is, take that pelt straight to Gus. Do not fast travel, do not do anything else, just go straight to Gus, because everyone knows that the sessions do disconnect quite a lot, and if you fast travel, there is a very well-known bug that it will cause the pelts or bodies on the back of your horse to despawn. So do not fast travel, do not do anything else, just ride like the wind for Gus and get it sold as quickly as possible so that you can get that garment set if you choose. I also recommend that the first time you find a legendary animal, even if you are doing the naturalist side of things, to kill it, just in case you struggle to find it again and you really do want that garment set. if you're not bothered about having the garment sets and you want to do the naturalist role, then of course sedating them is the way to go. I hope this has been helpful, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments section and I will respond to as many as quickly as I can. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.